of New Church Live today.
Good morning, friends. Pastor Chuck Blair here. Great to have you joining me. And today we're going to talk about this idea, continuing on with gratitude is gratitude for the whole thing. And it's this idea that, that in life that all the stages somehow belong. There are some that are incredibly painful, painful beyond all belief. And it's not that those stages are good per se or that God inflicts them on us. The exact opposite is true. They're part of life and God joins us in that kind of sorrow. But it's a beautiful idea when we learn to just get like, oh yeah, these are the stages of life, and somehow in the path, this is all going to become part of our story, even the really hard parts. They're there, they're part of our story, and we can't sort of skip over stages to get right to the end. And then there is something about that, right? Where we just go, okay, my job is to be grateful for life with a capital L. And it's the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. So let me read for you a little passage I think that points towards this. This is from the book Secrets of Heaven, 3016. What it's talking about is ages. So when the word mentions increasing ages and oldness, in other words, the Bible talks about people's aging, the angels present with the person can only picture the stage of life they had reached, the stage people reach when they finish life's different eras, including the last. In other words, they gradually picture themselves ridding themselves of what is human and taking on what is heavenly. Human life from infancy to old age is nothing but advancement from the world to heaven. That's such a beautiful idea. The idea that it's always this journey home and we're always advancing that direction. And that with the story, there's going to be these different stages. And it's easy to look at a stage and to look at a certain, slice of time and think, wow, that was a lost era. And, it certainly might feel that way. And certainly, if we had it to do over again, we would do it over again. Totally get that. And in a way, though, it's not the lost era because it helps us to build a whole new understanding of life. And maybe on the other side of that era, which we consider lost, is going to be this ability to live life in a really rich and full way that we couldn't even picture. We couldn't even picture. But somehow, this little hard stretch helped us to be able to experience this so much better. I know I was talking with a couple, and they're mentioning how much they've enjoyed being parents, and it was, it had its challenges getting to that point where they could be parents. And they were talking about how much they just feel like, wow, sometimes wonder if we have more joy than other parents just because it took so long and it was so hard to do. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. And I think about, example I used with them. Yeah, it's really interesting, right? That when's the best time to see stars? At night. So somehow it all belongs. Somehow all these phases are part of our life journey. And if you're struggling with like, oh, that was a time that was lost. Yep, it might have been in a certain sense. But the beautiful part is in God's economy, it wasn't. In God's economy, somehow that's going to help to move all of us further along our path in life. And and yeah, I always feel like I want to address those people who are dealing with loss, especially around the holiday season. That can feel very true. It's certainly, we'd never want to look at the loss of anyone. And again, I just lost my dad. I never want to look at the loss of anyone as a net benefit. That is not true, and that is cruel to say. And that's why you be super careful if you're using language around everything happens for a reason. I don't really believe that, frankly, because I've seen just too much heartbreak out there. But what I do know to be true is I know some of those people who've gone through heartbreak have been some of the most compassionate, loving people I know. And that's the miracle. That's God's work. That's what starts to happen over time if we let God join us in our suffering and our struggles, as well as in our joys and our happiness. So this Thanksgiving, let's just be glad for let's just be glad for this experience of life, the blessed, the broken, and the shared parts of it, and just celebrate it all. So that's my thought for today, friends. And what we're going to do now is now we're going to shift gears. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little prayer. We're going to do a little blessing. We will not be saying hello to friends on Facebook this morning. So all I'd ask you to do is just leave a little comment and we will get to it in short order. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath and listen to the prayer bomb. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. All right, dear friends, wishing you a great couple of days here as we get ready for